Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Boruto episode 209 spoilers. Alright guys, in this episode right here is going to be an anime only episode. I'm a little bit hesitant to say that mainly because in the last episode of the Boruto anime I thought it was going to be just one chapter, but it turned out that was actually two chapters that were adapted in that specific chapter right there. But if I were more confident than ever on a specific episode, it would probably be this one. I definitely think that this right here is probably not going to have a lot of manga content, and that right there was definitely coming, mainly because the pace for the past couple of months has been absolutely insane. But without further ado, I'm going to get into the actual spoilers that were released by Organic Dinosaur. She pretty much talked about this episode in a paragraph. The title is going to be The Pariah. Into the actual paragraph it says, Kawaki remembers the terror of an unusual phenomenon that had just transpired within Boruto and his own self. Kawaki truly experienced how karma itself was a greater hazard than he had originally anticipated. With Kata continuing to watch over him, he is starting to feel that the Konoha village might be in an even more critical situation. Up until now, everyone in the Uzumaki family had been considerate and kind towards him. In addition, he has been getting along with his other friends in the village too. Kawaki becomes hesitant and worried about exposing them to even more perilous incidents. As he continues to remain silent about this issue, he happens to see Boruto's younger sister Himawari acting strangely. Alright, so this episode right here, it seems like it's going to be, as people would call it, like a filler episode, but it really, in my personal opinion, is going to be a character building episode for Kawaki himself. There is still going to be some mental struggles that Kawaki has to get over, and especially seeing Boruto's last form, and of course him still kind of internalizing it and still thinking that all this happened because he actually showed up in the Hidden Leaf Village, which again is not necessarily the case at all. Now, one important thing that I do have to say about this episode is that there's a very good possibility that this episode right here is going to actually be postponed. Now, we don't necessarily know for sure. They did put out a statement and basically said to stay tuned. Now, one of the things that I really don't want, I don't want it to be a situation where we don't get an episode this week and then episode 209 airs the week after. Now, hear me out. I think that right there would kind of waste a little bit of time. For example, if we don't get an episode this week, I'd want like a double episode the week after, because it would essentially be slowing down the pacing of the series as of right now. And we already gotten a huge slowdown in the pacing. Some of you guys don't necessarily remember this, but like last year when COVID hit, the Boruto anime had to take a couple of months off. So the Boruto anime right now is still kind of behind schedule. Now, I don't necessarily anticipate them to give us like an 8 episode dump in 1 week. So of course it's going to be behind schedule for the entirety of the series most likely. But I just personally believe that, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be a good idea to delay the Boruto anime a little bit further. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm saying this is the explanation. I've pretty much been saying that the Boruto team, they deserve a week off, but they're making it seem like they're not really taking a week off. They're making it seem like the Boruto episode 209 is going to be ready by next week. So if that's going to be the case, you might as well make a double upload the following week. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. Now, back on the actual events that happened in the Boruto anime, I think one of the biggest things that we have to keep an eye out for is going to be Jigen, how he's healing. At this particular time, we understand that he could pretty much like instant transmission right in front of Kawaki at any given moment. Shikamaru was talking about that in the last anime episode. He was pretty much saying that he was extremely worried about Kawaki. I mean, Naruto, albeit we know exactly how it's going to turn out. Well, manga readers, we know exactly how it's going to turn out. This right here is extremely risky from Naruto, having Kawaki just walk around frolicking amongst the Hidden Leaf Village, not necessarily being 100% attended. Of course, Naruto's after him, but we understand Jigen can literally show up at any given moment and literally just kidnap Kawaki. But of course, Jigen is going to be sitting and he's going to be chilling for the next 10 days. Well, technically right now it's going to be the next 8 days, because of course there was like a 2-day time skip, or I wouldn't even call it a time skip. There are 2 days that passed in the Boruto anime in the last episode. So that right there is definitely going to be something that we do have to keep an eye out. In regards to the allocation of the Kata organization, as of right now, we understand that Code is going to be guarding the Ten Tails. During a time like this in the Boruto manga, I was really wondering if Sasuke could have potentially went to that dimension and actually taken the Ten Tails for himself, because we understand, because Sasuke does have his Rinnegan, there's definitely a big possibility that he himself can seal the Ten Tails inside of himself, not only to make him a lot stronger first and foremost, but also to kind of eliminate the threat of them actually making a god tree on planet Earth with that specific Ten Tails. But we just have to find out exactly what the situation is in the upcoming episode. Now, another interesting thing that I thought about this episode is the fact that Kawaki is dealing with a lot of the things that we do see in this episode right here. in the Boruto manga. Now, I don't necessarily know if they made that on purpose, but it's really kind of interesting seeing how Kawaki right now is still manga-wise, is still struggling with the concept of causing a lot of trouble in the Hidden Leaf Village and people not necessarily accepting him the way that he wants them to actually accept him. But Himawari is also going to be in this episode as well. Some people love the interaction between Himawari and Kawaki. I do want to know exactly what they do, because in the preview they were going on a, I wouldn't necessarily call it a mission, they were going on a trip and they were kind of investigating something. But other than that, I mean, the big things right here, I mean, it still stays the same. There's always going to be that outside possibility that we do get to see some Kata organization movements in any anime only episode, especially the anime only episodes that we have already seen before that hadn't necessarily been adapting any chapters. We've seen Kata members in that episode as well, especially notably Code as well. Back when we weren't necessarily getting chapters, Code was a very big part in those episodes, and which was very notable because in the Boruto manga, he himself wasn't necessarily in those episodes. Now, not only that, we also have to look out for some dialogue regarding BoruShiki. Obviously, Naruto and Sasuke, they're going to be exchanging some details. It's, of course, also Shikamaru as well. So we got to see exactly how they feel about Boruto's newfound form and exactly what they're going to potentially do with him. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. I think it's going to be a decent little buffer episode between some very, very big hard hitter episodes. I don't like it, but let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.